Everyone loves the idea of motivation. Motivation feels exciting. Motivation feels powerful. It's that sudden burst of energy when you hear a speech, watch an inspiring video, or read a story of success. In that moment, you feel unstoppable. You think, yes, I will change my life. I will become fluent. I will achieve my dreams. But then, a few days later, the fire is gone. The energy disappears. The excitement fades. And you are back where you started. Why? Because motivation is temporary. Motivation is like a spark. It burns brightly, but it dies quickly. If you rely only on motivation, you will never finish what you started. This is where discipline enters the story. Discipline is different. Discipline is not about feeling inspired. Discipline is about doing the work, even when you don't feel like it. Discipline is about showing up day after day when no one is watching, when no one is cheering, when no one is clapping. Discipline is the bridge between dreams and reality. Let's bring in a famous quote by the philosopher Aristotle. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. What does this mean in simple English? It means you don't become successful by doing something once. You become successful by doing it again and again until it becomes part of who you are. Habits shape destiny. Now let's connect this to English learning. Imagine two students. One studies only when they feel motivated, maybe once a week, maybe once a month. The other studies every day for 20 minutes, no matter what. After 1 year, who will be fluent? The answer is obvious. The second student wins, not because they felt more motivated, but because they were more disciplined. Let's pause here for vocabulary focus. Habit, something you do regularly, almost automatically. For example, brushing your teeth, reading daily. Routine, a sequence of habits, your regular pattern of actions. For example, waking up, exercising, studying English. Self-control, the ability to resist temptation and choose what matters most. Repeat these words aloud. Habit, routine, self-control. These are not just English words. They are the keys to mastery in life. Now, let's explore psychology. Why is motivation so unreliable? Because motivation is an emotion, and emotions change constantly. Some days you feel inspired, some days you feel lazy. If you wait for motivation to act, your progress will rise and fall like a roller coaster. Discipline, on the other hand, is not based on feelings. Discipline is based on commitment. Discipline says, I don't care how I feel. I will do what needs to be done. Here's the harsh truth. Successful people are not always motivated. They are not superhuman. They simply have more discipline. They train themselves to act regardless of mood. That is why they succeed when others give up. Let's bring in a story. A young writer once dreamed of publishing a novel. He waited for inspiration. Some days, the words came. Other days, nothing. Years passed, and his book remained unfinished. Then he learned about discipline. He made a new rule. I will write 500 words every morning, no matter what. At first, it was difficult. But over time, it became routine. 1 year later, he finished his novel. It wasn't motivation that gave him success. It was discipline. Now, let's bring in another powerful quote. This time, from the American coach Vince Lombardi. Discipline is choosing between what you want now and what you want most. In simple English, do you want the comfort of staying in bed now, or the success of fluency later? Do you want the pleasure of scrolling now, or the pride of achieving your dream later? Discipline is about making the hard choice today for the greater reward tomorrow. Let's set up the contrast clearly. Motivation is short-term fire. Discipline is long-term fuel. Motivation makes you start. Discipline makes you finish. Motivation feels good. Discipline does good. This contrast explains why so many people fail. They wait to feel motivated before they act. But the winners know. You cannot wait for motivation. You must build discipline. Now, let's connect this lesson to English learning again. Imagine a student named Hannah. She loves motivational videos about English. After watching one, she studies for 2 hours with great energy. But then she stops for a week. Then another week. Then another. Her fluency doesn't grow. Why? Because motivation is inconsistent. Meanwhile, another student named Amir decides to practice for 15 minutes every day, no matter what. Even on busy days. Even on lazy days. After 1 year, Amir speaks fluently. Hannah still struggles. The difference is not intelligence. It is discipline. So how do you build discipline? Here are 3 practical steps. Create routines. Decide a fixed time for practice. For example, I will study English every morning at 7 a.m. Make it automatic, like brushing your teeth. Focus on small wins. Don't try to be perfect. Build the habit first. Even 5 minutes of study daily builds the discipline muscle. Use self-control. When the urge comes to delay or quit, remind yourself, comfort is temporary. Discipline is forever. Here's an English expression to remember. Fall in love with the process. Don't focus only on the results. Focus on the daily action, the process of improvement. Discipline is easier when you learn to enjoy the process. Now, let's be clear. Motivation is not useless. Motivation can give you the spark to begin, but only discipline will carry you to the end. Think of motivation as the match that lights the fire, and discipline as the wood that keeps it burning. Without wood, the flame dies. Let me ask you directly, have you been waiting for motivation to learn English? Have you said, I'll practice when I feel inspired? If so, that is why you are stuck. The winners don't wait. They practice daily, whether they feel motivated or not. Here is another English phrase: consistency is king. This means that steady, repeated effort is more powerful than occasional bursts of energy. Fluency is not built in one day. It is built in thousands of small, disciplined days. Let me share one final story. There was once a soldier who trained for battle every day, rain or shine. One day, someone asked him, "Why do you train so hard, even when there is no war?" He replied, "Because when the battle comes, I won't have time to prepare. Discipline today is my protection tomorrow." That is the truth for English learners too. Discipline today is your fluency tomorrow. So let's close this section with a final contrast. Motivation is a visitor. Discipline is a resident. Motivation knocks on the door sometimes. Discipline lives in your house every day. Motivation comes and goes. Discipline stays and grows. If you truly want success in English, in work, in life, don't wait for motivation. Build discipline, because discipline is the real secret of success. And now we arrive at the next step in our journey. Discipline is powerful, but discipline needs a reason. If you do not know your why, discipline becomes empty. This is where purpose comes in. In the next section, we will explore how purpose gives meaning to discipline, and how finding your purpose transforms not only your English learning, but your entire life. Have you ever met someone who seems to have everything: money, comfort, opportunities, yet they still feel empty? They follow the crowd, chase promotions, buy possessions, and yet there is a hollowness inside. That hollowness, that feeling of drifting, is not caused by lack of talent, intelligence, or luck. It is caused by lack of purpose. Purpose is the invisible compass that gives life direction. Without it, you wander aimlessly, no matter how fast or hard you run. You may appear busy, but deep down, you feel lost. You may achieve milestones, but the milestones do not satisfy you. You may chase success, but success feels hollow. Psychology tells us why this happens. Viktor Frankl, the renowned psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, wrote about the search for meaning in his book, Man's Search for Meaning. He observed that even in the most terrible conditions, when all external freedoms were stripped away, those who had a reason to live survived far better than those who did not. Purpose, Frankl argued, is the ultimate motivator. It gives suffering meaning. It gives struggle direction. Without purpose, life feels chaotic and empty. Let's bring this to a story. Imagine a man named Robert. Robert worked long hours in a high-paying job. He had a nice car, a big house, and people admired him. But every morning, he woke up feeling restless. Why? Because he was following a path chosen by others, society, parents, colleagues. He had never asked himself, what do I truly want? What is my why? He was chasing success without purpose. And as the years went by, he began to feel invisible, disconnected, and empty. He had everything, yet nothing. Now, let's connect this to English learning. Many learners study English because it sounds useful or because everyone is learning it. But without a personal reason, their studies feel forced. They lose motivation. They procrastinate. They feel shallow progress and quickly give up. Learning without purpose is like sailing without a compass. You move, but you never reach a meaningful destination. Here are some English phrases to focus on. Finding your why, discovering the reason you do something, your ultimate motivation, sense of direction, clarity about where your life or actions are heading, life purpose, the overarching meaning or mission that guides your choices. Repeat these phrases aloud and reflect. Do they describe your life? Do you feel a sense of direction, or are you drifting? Now, let's explore the contrast. Living with purpose versus drifting through life. When you live with purpose, every decision has meaning. Every challenge becomes a lesson, a stepping stone toward your mission. Every day, even small actions, feel significant. When you drift, you follow external expectations rather than internal desires. Every obstacle feels overwhelming because it does not connect to a larger goal. Life feels repetitive, empty, and exhausting no matter what you achieve. Consider another story. Maria was passionate about helping others. She became a volunteer teacher, even with a modest salary. Her work was difficult and often unappreciated. Yet, she felt fulfilled. Every day, she saw small changes in her students, their smiles, their confidence, their progress. Purpose gave her energy, resilience, and clarity. Meanwhile, her friend Paul worked in a lucrative corporate job. He spent his days in meetings, chasing KPIs, and accumulating wealth. He had external success, but no internal satisfaction. Maria and Paul had different lives, not because of talent, but because of purpose. Let's connect this back to English learning. Your why could be communicating with international friends, advancing your career, reading novels in English, sharing your story with the world. When you connect learning to your personal purpose, every small practice becomes meaningful. Every challenge, mispronunciation, grammar, mistakes, or misunderstandings becomes part of a larger journey. You no longer learn randomly. You learn intentionally. Psychology explains this phenomenon. Humans are goal-directed creatures. Purpose functions as a mental anchor. It focuses attention, directs effort, and sustains resilience. Without purpose, effort scatters. You start projects, but abandon them. You chase trends, but never master anything. Purpose is the difference between a life of impact and a life of drift. Here's an English phrase to remember. Align your actions with your why. Every habit, every routine, every small step is more powerful when it connects to your personal purpose. Learning English, working, exercising, anything becomes easier when your actions are aligned with meaning. Let's pause for reflection. Many people drift through life unknowingly. They follow the path of least resistance. They chase comfort. They chase social approval. They chase money. But none of these provide true fulfillment. The lesson is simple but profound. Purpose is the compass that transforms effort into achievement and struggle into growth. Now, let's examine another story for contrast. Two students start learning English. One learns because everyone is doing it. She studies irregular verbs, reads articles, and watches videos, but with no personal reason. She feels bored, distracted, and eventually quits. The other student learns because he wants to travel, connect with people worldwide, and tell his story. He faces the same challenges, but every practice feels meaningful. He perseveres, and fluency becomes inevitable. Purpose makes the difference. Here's another key contrast. Drifting through life feels safe but empty. Purpose-driven life feels challenging but fulfilling. Drifting leaves regret. Purpose leaves pride. Drifting is reactive. Purpose is proactive. Let's bring in a philosophical insight. Viktor Frankl said, "Those who have a why to live can bear almost any how." In simple English, when you know why you are doing something, the difficulties along the way become bearable. Your purpose strengthens resilience, courage, and focus. Without purpose, even small difficulties feel insurmountable. Now, let's connect this back to the emotional arc of our journey. You've learned about failure, comfort, fear, procrastination, and discipline. All of these are influenced by purpose. Purpose acts as the glue that turns discipline into meaningful action, fear into courage, and daily effort into long-term achievement. Without purpose, discipline is hollow. Without purpose, effort is random. Without purpose, success feels empty. Here's an English learning phrase for practice. Let your purpose drive your action. It captures the essence of meaningful effort. The bigger your why, the stronger your resilience. The bigger your why, the more consistent your discipline. The bigger your why, the more unstoppable your progress. Now, let's close with one more story to illustrate the contrast. Two friends, Emily and Tom, both wanted to run a marathon. Emily ran because she felt it was expected. Tom ran because he wanted to raise money for a cause close to his heart. Both trained in the same conditions, faced the same challenges. Emily often skipped runs, lost motivation, and eventually quit. Tom pushed through injuries, cold mornings, and fatigue because his purpose gave him energy, meaning, and focus. Purpose determines who persists and who drifts. Finally, let's summarize the lessons of this section. Without purpose, effort is directionless. With purpose, challenges become stepping stones. Purpose gives resilience to face fear, discipline to sustain action, and clarity to navigate life. English learning, like life, becomes meaningful when aligned with a personal why and now. As we move forward, remember this: once you have found your purpose, knowing your why, the next step is to act. Action, guided by purpose, builds strength, mastery, and resilience. In the next section, we will explore resilience, the ability to recover, persist, and thrive, and how purpose transforms every setback into growth. Failure is inevitable. No matter how talented, hardworking, or smart you are, life will knock you down at some point. The question is not whether you will face failure, it is how you respond when it comes. Do you break under it, or do you grow from it? That is the essence of resilience. Resilience is more than just enduring hardship. It is the power to rise after failure, to take setbacks and turn them into stepping stones. Psychologists call it grit, the combination of passion and perseverance over the long term. Resilient people don't avoid failure. They embrace it as a teacher, a guide, and an opportunity. Let's begin with a story many of you may know. J.K. Rowling. Before Harry Potter became a global phenomenon, she faced rejection after rejection. Publishers laughed at her manuscript. She struggled as a single mother living in poverty. Many would have given up. Many did give up. But Rowling had resilience. She continued writing, editing, submitting. She bounced back every time life knocked her down. Today, her books inspire millions, and her story teaches us that failure is never the end. It is a step in the journey. Here are some key English phrases for this section. Bounce back. To recover from a setback or failure. Example: even after failing the exam, she bounced back and passed the next one. Never give up. A phrase encouraging persistence despite challenges. Grit, courage, determination, and perseverance in the face of difficulty. Repeat these phrases aloud and reflect. How can you apply them in your life? How can these words become part of your mindset as you learn English, pursue your goals, and face challenges? Now let's explore the psychology of resilience. Researchers have found that resilient people share a common trait: optimism. They see challenges as temporary and solvable, not as permanent failures. Emotional regulation. They manage stress and control negative emotions. Instead of being overwhelmed purpose, they have a reason to persevere. A why that keeps them moving forward. Adaptability. They adjust strategies and keep trying different approaches until they succeed. Resilience is not about avoiding pain or pretending failure does not exist. It is about feeling the pain, learning from it, and moving forward stronger than before. Let's contrast two kinds of people. Those who break under failure feel hopeless, give up, and let setbacks define them. They see failure as the end. Those who grow from failure analyze, adapt, learn, and persist. They see failure as information, not judgment. Consider another story. Thomas Edison. Edison failed thousands of times while inventing the light bulb. When asked about his failures, he said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." Edison's resilience turned repeated failure into eventual triumph. Each attempt built knowledge, skill, and grit. This contrast teaches a powerful lesson. Failure itself is neutral. It is your response that determines your growth. Now, let's bring this back to English learning. Many students face failure constantly. They mispronounce words. They forget grammar rules. They stumble in conversations. Some feel embarrassed and stop practicing. Others bounce back. They review mistakes, ask questions, and practice again. The resilient learners do not let errors define them. Mistakes become lessons, not labels. Another practical English phrase is, fall down 7 times, stand up 8. This Japanese proverb emphasizes persistence. Even if you fail multiple times, what matters is that you keep getting up. Resilience is the repetition of rising over and over. Let's explore the emotional side of resilience. Failure is painful. It can hurt your confidence, your pride, and your self-image. But resilience allows you to transform pain into strength. Every setback becomes a rehearsal for success. Every disappointment becomes a lesson. Every no prepares you for the next yes. Here's another story for contrast. Imagine a young entrepreneur named Leo. His first startup failed. Investors pulled out. He lost money. Most people would have quit. Most people did quit. But Leo reflected, learned, adjusted, and launched a second company. That second company succeeded wildly. The difference was not talent, not luck, but resilience. The ability to rise stronger after failure. Now, let's tie this into English vocabulary and practice. Setback, a problem or failure that slows progress. Perseverance, continued effort despite difficulties. Adaptation, the act of adjusting strategies to overcome obstacles. Resilient. People use setbacks as feedback. They persist with perseverance, and they adapt when necessary. This mindset is crucial not just in life, but in learning English or any skill. Let's examine the contrast one more time. Breaking under failure leaves you stagnant, fearful, and frustrated. Growing from failure leaves you stronger, wiser, and prepared for greater challenges. Here's a final example. Michael Jordan, widely considered one of the greatest basketball players of all time, was cut from his high school basketball team. Many would have given up. Many did give up. But Jordan bounced back. He practiced harder, learned more, and eventually became a legend. His story demonstrates that resilience is often the hidden factor behind visible success. So how can you build resilience in your own life? Here are 3 strategies. Reflect on failure. Analyze what went wrong and what you can learn. This transforms mistakes into information. Maintain perspective. See failures as temporary, not permanent. Remind yourself, this setback is only one part of your journey. Act despite fear. Resilience grows when you take steps forward, even when outcomes are uncertain. In English learning, this means speaking despite mistakes, writing despite errors, and practicing daily despite frustration. Every small act of courage builds your resilience muscle. Let's end this section with one more inspiring story. Oprah Winfrey faced countless setbacks early in her career, from poverty to job loss to personal hardships. She did not let these failures define her. She bounced back, learned, adapted, and persisted. Today, she is a global icon, known not just for her talent, but for her resilience. Her story teaches us that setbacks are not the opposite of success. They are the path to it. Finally, here is the contrast and the takeaway. Failure alone does not harm you. Surrendering to it does. Resilience turns pain into progress. Bouncing back. Remember this English phrase: every setback is a setup for a comeback. Keep it in mind as you face challenges in learning, in work, and in life. Resilience prepares you for the next stage, cultivating a growth mindset. The understanding that every effort, every mistake, and every challenge contributes to your continuous improvement. In the next section, we will explore growth mindset, the mindset that turns resilience into mastery and setbacks into lifelong growth. Have you ever thought, I'm just not good at this, or I'll never be fluent in English? If so, you are not alone. Many people believe that their abilities are fixed, that talent is innate, intelligence is set, and some people are simply lucky, while others are not. This is what psychologists call a fixed mindset. But there is another way to think, a way that changes everything. Psychologist Carol Dweck calls it the growth mindset. People with a growth mindset believe that skills can be developed, that intelligence can grow, and that mistakes are not failures, but opportunities to learn. In simple terms, growth mindset is the belief that you can improve with effort, practice, and persistence. Let's start with a story. Imagine a boy named Alex. Alex struggled in school. He was told repeatedly that he was not good at math. Over time, he believed it. He avoided challenges. He never tried harder. His mindset was fixed. I can't. I'm not smart enough. I'll never be good at this. As a result, he remained stuck. Now imagine another boy, Ben, who faced the same difficulties. But Ben's teacher encouraged him to try, fail, and try again. Ben believed, I can learn. I can get better. He practiced every day, asked questions, and focused on progress, not perfection. Over time, he improved. Ben developed a growth mindset, and with it, he transformed his struggles into achievements. Here are some key English phrases to remember. Practice makes progress small. Consistent effort leads to improvement. Skills can be developed. Your abilities are not fixed. You can grow through learning and effort. I can learn the mantra of the growth mindset, replacing I can't. Repeat these phrases aloud. They are not just words, they are a guide to transforming your learning, your mindset, and your life. Let's examine the contrast between fixed and growth mindsets. More closely, fixed mindset believes ability is innate, avoids challenges, gives up easily, sees mistakes as proof of inability. Growth mindset believes ability can be developed, embraces challenges, persists despite obstacles, sees mistakes as opportunities to learn. The contrast is clear. Mindset determines how you respond to difficulties. It determines whether you give up or grow. It determines whether you stagnate or succeed. Now, let's bring this to English learning. Many students fear speaking because they think mistakes make them bad at English. This is a fixed mindset. They avoid speaking, reading, or writing, hoping they will be naturally good without practice. But fluency is never a gift. It is a skill developed through effort. Every mispronounced word, every grammar mistake, every moment of struggle is practice that leads to progress. Consider the phrase, speaking mistakes equals growth. Every time you make a mistake in English, your brain is learning, adapting, and building skill. Mistakes are not failures. They are the stepping stones of mastery. A fixed mindset sees mistakes as judgment. A growth mindset sees mistakes as lessons. Let's bring in another story. Sarah wanted to improve her English, but she was terrified of making mistakes. In class, she often remained silent. She believed, I'm just not good at English. I'll never be fluent. Then one day, her teacher explained the growth mindset. Sarah began to view every mistake as an opportunity. She spoke in class, sometimes failing, sometimes struggling, but always learning. 6 months later, her confidence soared. She spoke fluently in conversations she never thought possible. Her progress came from consistent effort, guided by a growth mindset. Now, psychology gives us the reasoning behind this transformation. When you adopt a growth mindset, your brain becomes more resilient. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to form new connections, means that your intelligence and skills are not fixed. Every practice session, every effortful attempt physically strengthens the neural pathways that support learning. In short, the growth mindset is backed by science. Your brain can grow if you challenge it. Let's pause for vocabulary practice. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to change and grow. Persistence, continuing effort despite difficulties. Effortful practice, practice that requires attention, focus, and challenge, not just passive repetition. Notice how these words connect directly to both English learning and life success. A fixed mindset limits your brain. A growth mindset unleashes its potential. Let's contrast again. Fixed mindset: I can't speak English. I'm just not talented. Avoids speaking. STAGNATES. Growth mindset: I can learn English. I will improve with practice. Embraces challenges, gains fluency. The emotional difference is just as stark. Fixed mindset breeds frustration, fear, and self-doubt. Growth mindset breeds hope, confidence, and curiosity. Here's another example from the world of famous failures. Michael Jordan, cut from his high school basketball team, famously said, "I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I've failed over and over and over again in my life. And that is why I succeed." Jordan's mindset was growth-oriented. He saw every miss not as proof of failure, but as a lesson to improve. Now, let's tie this back to English. Every time you mispronounce a word, forget a phrase, or stumble in conversation, think like Jordan. Mistakes are feedback, not judgment. Feedback is gold. It guides your improvement. Without it, growth is impossible. Another story for reflection. Thomas Edison, the inventor of the light bulb, made thousands of attempts before succeeding. He saw each failure as information. "I haven't failed," he said. "I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." This is the growth mindset in action. Learning from every attempt, refining every skill, and persisting with patience and effort. English phrases to remember. Every mistake is a lesson. Practice makes progress. I can learn. These phrases capture the essence of the growth mindset. Repeat them often and let them guide your learning and life. Now let's examine the transition. Resilience and growth mindset are deeply connected. Resilience helps you bounce back after failure. Growth mindset ensures that when you bounce back, you learn, improve, and move forward with understanding. Together, they form a cycle. Failure gives resilience, gives growth, gives success. Here's a final contrast to make it clear. Fixed mindset plus failure gives despair, avoidance, stagnation. Growth mindset plus failure gives resilience, learning, progress in your English journey. This means do not fear mistakes. Do not fear slow progress. Embrace every misstep as a stepping stone. Speak, write, read, listen. Every effort counts. Fluency is built one mistake at a time, one lesson at a time. Finally, reflect on this. Your mindset determines not just how fast you learn English, but how you approach life. With a fixed mindset, opportunities become threats, challenges become barriers, mistakes become proof of inadequacy. With a growth mindset, opportunities become possibilities, challenges become adventures, mistakes become lessons. And here is the transition to our conclusion. Everything we have discussed, fear, procrastination, discipline, purpose, resilience, and now growth mindset, is part of a single journey. A journey of learning English, yes, but more importantly, a journey of personal growth. Your mindset shapes your reality. Your choices shape your progress. Your daily actions shape your life. In the next section, we will tie all of these lessons together, reflecting on how failure, discipline, purpose, resilience, and growth mindset can transform not only your English fluency, but your life itself. We have traveled a long journey together, from the comfort zones that trap us to the fears that paralyze us, the procrastination that steals our time, the lack of discipline that weakens our efforts, the absence of purpose that leaves us drifting, the resilience that lifts us after failure, and finally, the growth mindset that turns mistakes into progress. Every step has been a lesson, a reflection, and an opportunity to transform not only your English skills, but your life. Think about it. Comfort leads to weakness. Fear leads to inaction. Procrastination leads to wasted time. Lack of discipline leads to unfulfilled potential, and absence of purpose leaves life hollow. Contrast that with the path of growth, embracing discomfort, facing fear, taking action, building discipline, discovering purpose, cultivating resilience, and adopting a growth mindset. This is why people fail and why people succeed. The difference is not talent, luck, or opportunity. It is mindset and action. Let's tie this directly to English learning. Many learners struggle not because English is impossible, but because they fear mistakes, procrastinate, and lack consistent practice. Yet, every challenge in learning English mirrors the challenges of life itself. Mispronouncing a word, forgetting a grammar rule, hesitating to speak, these are small failures. And just like life, these failures are opportunities. If you learn to grow through failure, if you develop resilience, discipline, and a growth mindset, you can become fluent in English. Every mistake becomes a stepping stone toward mastery. Here's the arc we've explored together. Comfort gives growth. Winners embrace discomfort. Others remain safe, but stagnant. Fear gives courage. Fear is natural, but courage allows action in spite of fear. Procrastination gives action. Time is a resource. How you use it determines your progress. Lack of discipline gives habits and routines. Daily effort beats occasional bursts of motivation. No purpose gives meaning and why. Purpose guides every action, turning effort into fulfillment. Resilience gives strength through failure. Bouncing back transforms setbacks into lessons. Fixed mindset gives growth mindset. Believing you can learn changes everything. Notice the pattern. Every obstacle on the path to success mirrors a stage in life and in learning. The same psychological principles apply to fluency as to personal achievement. Mistakes are inevitable. Discomfort is necessary. Perseverance is required, and growth is earned. Let's bring in some key English phrases one last time. Bounce back. Recover from mistakes. Practice makes progress. Consistent effort leads to improvement. Finding your why. Discover the purpose that drives you. Every setback is a setup for a comeback. Practice these phrases daily. Speak them aloud. Let them guide not just your English learning, but your mindset toward challenges, setbacks, and growth now. Let's reflect on the contrast one more time. People who fail, stay comfortable, fear failure, procrastinate, lack discipline, drift without purpose, crumble under setbacks, and believe their abilities are fixed. People who succeed embrace discomfort, face fear with courage, take action consistently, build strong habits, align with purpose, rise stronger after failure, and cultivate a growth mindset. Your journey to fluency and personal success follows the same principles. Each day you practice, each mistake you make, each time you speak despite hesitation, you are reinforcing resilience, discipline, and a growth mindset. Each small step compounds into mastery over time. Think about your own life. What comfort zones are holding you back? Where does fear stop you from speaking or practicing? What habits could you strengthen through discipline? What is your personal why, your purpose that can guide your actions? How can you bounce back from setbacks? And how can you view mistakes as opportunities to grow? These are the questions that transform ordinary learners into extraordinary achievers. Now, it's time for action. Knowledge alone is not enough. Listening, reflection, and understanding are important, but real transformation happens when you act. Keep listening to English. Keep practicing every day. Keep reflecting on your failures and successes, and, most importantly, keep embracing growth. Treat every challenge as a lesson, every mistake as a teacher, and every setback as a setup for a comeback. Remember this: fluency in English is not a destination. It is a journey shaped by resilience, guided by purpose, strengthened by discipline, and fueled by a growth mindset. The same principles that allow you to succeed in life will allow you to succeed in learning English. They are inseparable. When you apply them consciously, you transform both your language skills and your life. Let's end this conclusion with motivation and gratitude. Be proud of every step you take. Celebrate every small victory, saying a sentence correctly, understanding a conversation, finishing a book, completing a lesson. These victories are proof that you are growing, learning, and moving closer to your goals. Be patient, be persistent, and trust the process. Your efforts matter. Your journey matters. Your growth matters. And finally, a call to action. Keep listening, keep practicing, keep speaking, and keep learning. Share your progress, share your challenges, and inspire others with your journey. The path is long, but every day you move forward, you transform. Every effort compounds. Every habit strengthens. Every step builds fluency and character. Thank you for joining this journey. Thank you for investing your time in learning, reflection, and growth. If you found value in this video, subscribe for more lessons. Continue practicing. And remember, your failure is not the end. Your growth is just beginning. Keep transforming, keep learning, and keep rising. Your journey is yours to shape. Your English fluency is yours to earn. And your life is yours to transform.